In the quiet, sun-soaked fishing village of Proveta, Brazil, where the Atlantic Ocean laps gently against the shore, lives a man named João Pereira de Souza. João, now in his 70s, is a humble retired bricklayer and fisherman. His days are spent tending to his small garden, chatting with neighbors, and occasionally casting a line into the sea. It's a peaceful life, one tied intimately to the rhythms of nature, but one day, something extraordinary happened that would change his life forever and make him an international sensation. It was in 2011, a year marked by the usual ebb and flow of village life, that João stumbled upon a tiny, oil-soaked penguin lying helpless on the rocks near his home. The penguin, a Magellanic species that typically resides thousands of miles away in the icy waters off Argentina and Chile, was far from home. Covered in sticky black oil, the little bird was weak, struggling to survive. For most people, this would have been a sad sight, perhaps even a call to action to contact wildlife rescue services. But for João, it was a call to something much deeper, a call to compassion and care that would lead to an unbelievable bond. Without a second thought, João scooped up the ailing bird, bringing it back to his modest home. He gently cleaned the oil from the penguin's feathers, a painstaking process that took hours. He fed the bird a diet of fresh fish and kept it safe from the neighborhood dogs, nursing it back to health with a level of care that might have been reserved for a close friend or family member. João even named the penguin Dindim, a playful, affectionate name that soon became synonymous with one of the most heartwarming stories of interspecies friendship. Over the following weeks, Dindim grew stronger. His feathers, once matted and heavy with oil, became sleek and shiny. His once listless eyes regained their spark. João fully expected that once the penguin was back to full strength, he would return to the sea, joining his kind in the vast southern waters. After all, that's what wild animals do, they return to their natural habitats. But Dindim had other plans. When João finally released Dindim back into the ocean, something incredible happened. The penguin swam out into the surf, but instead of disappearing into the horizon, he returned to João's side. It was as if Dindim had made a choice to stay with the man who had saved his life. And so, Dindim didn't leave. He remained by João's side, following him around the village, waddling after him like a loyal dog. This unusual friendship quickly became the talk of the village. Here was João, an elderly fisherman, and his constant companion, a Magellanic penguin who seemed to have decided that his place was not in the wild, but with the man who had shown him kindness. For nearly a year, Dindim stayed with João, a curious and endearing sight as the two became inseparable. João would carry Dindim down to the beach where they would swim together in the cool ocean waters. They were an odd couple, one an old fisherman with weathered hands and a lifetime of stories, the other a little penguin far from home but safe and content. But then, as the seasons changed and the call of nature grew stronger, Dindim finally left. He swam away, perhaps to rejoin his fellow penguins, perhaps to answer some deep-seated instinct that João could never truly understand. João was sad but accepting. He knew that Dindim belonged to the ocean, that their time together had been a gift, one he would always cherish. However, the story doesn't end there. Incredibly, several months later, Dindim returned. After traveling thousands of miles, navigating the treacherous currents and dangers of the open sea, Dindim came back to João's doorstep, flapping his wings and squawking with what seemed like joy. It was as if the little penguin had come home. João was overjoyed, and the two resumed their daily routines as if Dindim had never left. This pattern continued year after year. Every February, Dindim would disappear, making his long journey back to the southern waters where Magellanic penguins breed. And every June, like clockwork, Dindim would return to João, sometimes fatter, sometimes with new scars, but always ready to reunite with his human friend. João would recognize Dindim immediately, no matter how much time had passed. "He loves me," João would say, with a smile that only someone who has experienced such an incredible bond could wear. "I love him too."
Mas daí todo mundo dizia, ai não, mas ele não volta mais não, não volta. Eu digo, bom, não sei, não posso dizer de sim nem de não. No dia que completou 4 meses certinho, ele chegou aqui na praia, eu estava em pé bem ali. Quando ele me viu lá no portão, ele já veio com aquela alegria.
The story of João and Dindim eventually spread beyond the village, capturing the hearts of people around the world. How could a wild penguin, driven by instincts millions of years old, form such a strong bond with a human? Scientists were baffled, but they were also fascinated. The truth is, there's no simple explanation. Perhaps it was the care João gave Dindim when he was at his most vulnerable, or perhaps it was something more profound, a connection that transcended the boundaries of species. For João, it was never about fame or recognition. He didn't rescue Dindim to become a viral sensation, he did it because it was the right thing to do. In his quiet, unassuming way, João showed the world the power of kindness and the incredible things that can happen when we open our hearts to those in need, no matter how different they might be from us. Dindim, who travels thousands of miles each year to reunite with João, stands as a testament to the bonds that can form between humans and animals. It's a story that challenges our understanding of nature, showing that even in the wild there is room for friendship, loyalty, and love. As the years pass, João grows older, but his bond with Dindim remains as strong as ever. The little penguin, who once lay helpless on the rocks, is now a symbol of resilience and the incredible connections that can form when we reach out with compassion. João knows that each time Dindim leaves, there's a chance he might not return, but until that day comes, João cherishes every moment with his feathered friend, grateful for the unexpected joy that walked or waddled into his life one fateful day. In a world that often feels divided, the story of João and Dindim reminds us that the most important connections are those of the heart, and that sometimes love truly knows no bounds.